What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Let's get started with our first news. Dricus du Plessis has finally opened up about his loss to Khamzat Chimaev, a defeat that shook the MMA world back in August. That night, fans witnessed one of the most dominant performances in modern UFC history as Chimaev claimed the middleweight title by overpowering du Plessis in a way few saw coming. In the immediate aftermath, DDP stayed relatively quiet, addressing the outcome only through a brief social media post where he took full responsibility for the defeat and refused to offer excuses. He wrote that he was beaten by the better fighter that night, congratulated Chimaev, and expressed gratitude for sharing the octagon with him, showing the class and humility he has become known for. Now, a new video has begun circulating online, appearing to be part of an advertisement campaign for Crypto.com, in which du Plessis finally speaks in detail about the loss. The ad features emotional clips of DDP inside the cage with Chimaev, moments from the fight itself, and footage of him walking out of the arena afterward. Though the full clip can't be played, the message he delivers is powerful and deeply personal. In the video, du Plessis reflects on the nature of defeat, saying that moments like these do not define a fighter as broken, they define them as human. He emphasizes that true courage comes from vulnerability, from facing loss head-on, and from rising again despite the weight of disappointment. These moments, he says, are not just where we survive, they are where champions are born. He goes on to describe bravery as the heart's ability to endure failure while still standing tall, insisting that such resilience exists within all of us. He closes with a strong declaration: the journey continues, he was born brave, and he will be back. The message struck a chord with many fans, who praised DDP for his honesty and mental toughness. Now, the conversation shifts to what lies ahead for the former champion. Should he pursue an immediate rematch with Chimaev, or is it wiser for him to secure one or two solid wins before challenging for the title again? As the middleweight landscape evolves, du Plessis's comeback could become one of the most compelling stories in the UFC. Before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out, and ensures you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. Arman Tsarukyan has made it clear that if he defeats Dan Hooker this Saturday at UFC Qatar, he plans to take full advantage of the moment by calling out featherweight champion Ilia Topuria for an in-octagon face-off. With Topuria expected to be in attendance to support his brother Alexander, who is competing against Begzed Al-Makan on the same card, the timing couldn't be more perfect. Tsarukyan believes that a decisive win combined with a heated face-off would generate major hype for a future title fight and solidify his position as the next lightweight contender. According to Tsarukyan, if he earns an emphatic finish, he will waste no time bringing Topuria into the cage to set the stage for a blockbuster clash. He noted that the UFC is unlikely to hand the opportunity to Paddy Pimblett, despite the ongoing buzz, especially knowing that Topuria has expressed interest in fighting Paddy at some point. For now, Tsarukyan remains confident that his performance will speak loudest and that the moment is his to seize. Tsarukyan also shared his thoughts on the Islam Makhachev vs Jack Della Maddalena matchup, describing it as a one-sided display of dominance. Watching Islam perform, he said, felt like watching a champion dismantle an amateur. He emphasized that Makhachev looked levels above the division, calling him a true pound-for-pound talent and predicting that beating him, especially if he moves up to welterweight, will be extremely difficult for anyone. Another major storyline surrounding Tsarukyan heading into UFC Qatar is the presence of Khamzat Chimaev in his corner. Chimaev and Tsarukyan have been training together for several months, forming a strong bond and sharpening each other's skill sets. Fans will remember that Tsarukyan was also in Chimaev's corner during his fight against Dricus du Plessis at UFC 319, showing that their partnership runs both ways. Training clips circulating online showed Chimaev pushing Tsarukyan through intense workouts, hyping him up and motivating him with his signature intensity. With high-level preparation, elite support, and a clear plan to call out Ilia Topuria in front of a global audience, Arman Tsarukyan is heading into UFC Qatar with momentum and purpose. A win on Saturday could set the stage for one of the biggest cross-divisional storylines of the year. Move on to another news. The MMA community has been buzzing this week after new photos of Arman Tsarukyan's physique surfaced online ahead of his upcoming fight. The images, which have spread rapidly across social media, show Tsarukyan looking more ripped and muscular than ever before, prompting widespread reactions from fans, analysts, analysts, and fighters alike. Many are calling it one of the most impressive physical transformations seen in the UFC in recent years. Tsarukyan has always been known for his athleticism and conditioning, but these latest pictures reveal a physique that appears dramatically more defined and powerful. His upper body muscle mass, in particular, has caught fans by surprise. Despite being listed at 5 feet 7 inches and competing at lightweight, his frame appears comparable to that of a middleweight. This naturally led to questions about how he manages to cut down to the 155-pound limit while carrying such significant size and muscle density. As expected, the online reaction was immediate and intense. Fans commented that Tsarukyan looks like an action figure, while others joked that his body seems almost photoshopped. Several users declared him to be in the best shape in the UFC, with others simply expressing disbelief at the transformation. There were also playful, sarcastic comments about supposed mosquito bites or needle marks on his abs, typical internet speculation that arises anytime a fighter appears unusually shredded. Some fans argued that such comments unfairly push PED narratives without evidence, reminding others not to jump to conclusions. The conversation ultimately comes down to one question: is Tsarukyan's transformation simply the result of elite training, genetics, and nutrition, or is it something more? While speculation is common in the MMA world, many fans believe his physique is the product of disciplined strength conditioning and a professional team supporting his preparation in Russia and abroad. Others remain skeptical, pointing to how often such transformations invite controversy. Regardless of opinions, one thing is clear: Tsarukyan's physical condition heading into this fight has captured the attention of the entire MMA community. His shredded form adds even more intrigue to his upcoming matchup and raises curiosity about whether this new level of strength and conditioning will translate into an even more dominant performance inside the cage. Move on to another news. The MMA world was shaken yesterday after reports surfaced that UFC strawweight contender Yasmin Lucindo had tested positive for a banned substance, prompting immediate suspension and the postponement of her upcoming fight. Lucindo, who has quickly built a reputation as one of the division's most promising young talents, recently secured a solid win over veteran Angela Hill and was preparing to return to action on December 13 against Jillian Robertson. However, her plans were abruptly halted following news of a flagged drug test. According to the initial reports, Lucindo tested positive for mestrolone, a prohibited substance commonly associated with hormone therapy, specifically the treatment of low testosterone or hypogonadism in men. The detection of this substance triggered regulatory action, placing Lucindo's career momentarily on hold. Despite this, her team strongly denies any intentional wrongdoing and is now working closely with the UFC, the Combat Sports Anti-Doping Program, CSAD, and the Nevada State Athletic Commission, NSAC, to determine the cause of the positive test. Her manager, Thiago Okamura, spoke with MMA Junkie to clarify the situation and reinforce Lucindo's innocence. He explained that the flagged test occurred in late September, yet Lucindo had tested clean both before and after that period. She received negative test results in August, shortly after her fight, and again in October, strengthening the case that this may be an isolated anomaly rather than consistent use. Okamura emphasized that based on the small quantity and specific type of metabolite detected, the team believes this is a contamination case rather than deliberate doping. To uncover the source, Lucindo's team has already identified 2 supplements that match the timeline of the positive test. These products have been sent to the SMRTL laboratory in Utah for comprehensive testing to verify whether contamination occurred. The NSAC, which holds jurisdiction since she was scheduled to compete in Las Vegas, is overseeing the case, and Lucindo's representatives are cooperating fully to ensure transparency. At only 23 years old, Lucindo remains one of the UFC's brightest rising prospects. While this setback is significant, fans and analysts alike will be watching closely to see how the investigation unfolds and whether she can clear her name. Move on to another news. Kamaru Usman recently opened up about a surprising and rarely discussed moment in his career, one of the only times he has ever been knocked out in training. During an appearance on the Daniel Cormier show, the former UFC welterweight champion revealed that prior to the famous head kick knockout delivered by Leon Edwards, he had been dropped only once before, and it happened behind closed doors during a sparring session with lightweight veteran Michael Johnson. Usman explained that the incident occurred shortly after one of his fights. Wanting to stay sharp, he returned to training just 2 weeks later and jumped directly into hard sparring rounds. Michael Johnson, Usman, who at the time was only 3 weeks out from a scheduled bout, was reportedly in phenomenal shape and known for his blistering hand speed. Usman praised Johnson's athleticism repeatedly, calling him so fast and extremely dangerous even in training. According to Usman, they sparred for a full 5-minute round, and toward the end Johnson caught him clean and put it on him. The shot dropped Usman hard enough that he fell backward, landing awkwardly on his arm. The moment was recorded on video, something Usman admits still exists and is kept safely archived by Rashad Evans, a longtime friend and teammate. Usman joked that Rashad uses it to keep him humble, reminding him of the moment whenever necessary. Usman expressed genuine surprise that the footage has never been leaked, especially in an era where gym videos often surface for clout or attention. He credited Rashad's loyalty, saying that if Evans weren't such a true brother to him, the clip likely would have gone public the moment he became champion. In today's social media-driven fight culture, such footage tends to spread instantly, which makes its privacy even more meaningful to Usman. Reflecting on the incident, Usman emphasized how underrated Michael Johnson is as a fighter. He described him as a rare blend of speed and punching power, someone who, despite not having the physique of a traditional knockout artist, could overwhelm opponents with explosive combinations. Usman's story serves as a reminder that even world champions face adversity behind the scenes and that some of the toughest moments in a fighter's career happen far away from the spotlight. Move on to another news. As conversations around Kamaru Usman continue circulating in the MMA world, another storyline has gained traction: Usman's public interest in a potential title fight against UFC lightweight champion Islam Makhachev. Makhachev has also expressed interest in the matchup, adding fuel to the discussion. However, one fighter who is not pleased with this idea is rising welterweight contender Garry, who openly criticized the possibility of Usman stepping into a championship bout with Makhachev. During a recent interview, Garry made it clear that he views Usman as no longer relevant in the welterweight division. According to him, the former champion's best days are behind him, and giving him a fight of that magnitude now would make little sense from a competitive standpoint. Although Garry acknowledged Usman's incredible run and the period in which he was arguably the greatest welterweight of all time, he firmly believes that time has passed. Garry didn't shy away from accusing Khabib Nurmagomedov and the rest of Team Makhachev of strategically crafting narratives that help build hype while protecting favorable matchups. He suggested that the team knows exactly how to spin the wording to make a fight seem compelling, even if the demand from fans isn't genuinely there. From Garry's perspective, fans aren't asking for Makhachev versus Usman. Instead, he argued that the MMA audience wants to see fresh, hungry contenders, fighters like himself, Shavkat Rakhmonov, or even up-and-coming names like Michael Morales, take on Islam Makhachev. Garry insists that the new generation is where the excitement lies and that matching Makhachev with former champions from previous eras does nothing to push the sport forward. Later in the conversation, Garry went even further, suggesting that Makhachev is targeting Usman for one reason: to secure what he sees as an easier path to a 17th consecutive win and a potential UFC record. According to Garry, choosing Usman, who is no longer in his prime, allows Makhachev to add another big name to his resume without facing the division's most dangerous rising talents. Whether fans agree or not, Garry's comments have sparked debate. Is Usman versus Makhachev still a compelling matchup due to their star power? Or is Garry right that the future of the welterweight division belongs to the new wave of contenders? Move on to another news. In recent discussions surrounding a potential grappling match between Alex Pereira and Khamzat Chimaev, the MMA community has been buzzing with strong opinions. The conversation reignited after Alex Pereira and former UFC champion Glover Teixeira publicly responded to Chimaev, questioning whether he has earned the right to face Pereira in the UFC. Instead, they suggested a grappling match, an offer Chimaev quickly accepted, calling it easy money. Adding further perspective to the debate, rising contender Bexinger Sasuke, fresh off a knockout victory over Eric Makaneko in the third round at UFC 322, shared his thoughts. After calling out both Bo Nickal and Chimaev in his post-fight interview, Sasuke turned his attention to Pereira's challenge. According to him, the idea of Pereira facing Chimaev in pure grappling is completely lopsided. Sasuke compared the hypothetical matchup to himself attempting to compete against Lionel Messi in football. He emphasized that Pereira's skill set, while elite in striking, does not translate to the level of wrestling and grappling Chimaev possesses. In his view, the difference in grappling experience is simply too vast to make the contest contest competitive. Pereira is a world-class striker and a dangerous MMA fighter, but grappling is Chimaev's world. Sasuke went on to explain that if the two were to meet in an MMA fight, the dynamic would shift slightly. Pereira's knockout power, striking precision, and experience in high-pressure championship moments give him a legitimate chance. However, even with the advantages Pereira carries on the feet, Sasuke still believes Chimaev would ultimately come out on top. Chimaev's relentless wrestling, pressure-heavy style, and ability to control fights on the ground would be too much for Pereira over the course of an MMA bout. In the end, Sasuke expressed confusion about why Pereira would want to pursue a grappling match against someone whose greatest strength lies in wrestling and ground fighting. While Pereira might find more success in a full MMA rule set, Sasuke maintains that Chimaev remains the clear favorite in either scenario, and the grappling match, especially, would be heavily one-sided.